Welcome back to For Mature Audiences Only, presented by Archer Law Office, the podcast where we break down complex aging, caregiving, and elder care topics into clear, practical guidance that you can actually use.
We're your hosts, Mary Shapiro
And Shannon Johnson,
Senior Resource Specialists at Archer Law Office. And each week we sit down with trusted professionals to help older adults and caregivers navigate real-life challenges with less stress and more confidence. If you're caring for an aging parent, supporting a loved one with a serious illness, or planning ahead for yourself, this is an essential conversation. This is For Mature Audiences Only, presented by Archer Law Office. Let's get started.
Today we are joined by Kathleen Anja. Kathleen is a licensed New Jersey real estate agent with the Moschino Group at Keller Williams Town Square and a certified senior real estate specialist. Before beginning her career in real estate, Kathleen spent more than 20 years in healthcare, including serving as a director of admissions in a skilled nursing facility where she guided seniors and their families through complex transitions. Kathleen, thank you so much for joining us today. First, could you in your own words explain what your role is?
Okay. I'm a seniors real estate specialist. So basically, I'm a real estate agent focusing on working with a lot of seniors. And that's my forte since my background is healthcare, which I did for 20 years. My last job in healthcare was a director of admissions. So I love to work with a lot of seniors.
That's awesome.
It is. So for families who never heard of a role like yours, what makes your role different from a traditional realtor?
So as I mentioned, I work with a lot of seniors. You have to keep in mind, working with seniors involves a lot of family dynamics, financial planning, and a lot of emotional involvement. So that's where I come into the picture to make sure that based on my experience working with seniors, that I provide understanding, empathy when I deal with seniors.
What are some of the most common challenges that seniors face when trying to sell like a long-time family home?
Okay, so you have to keep in mind also that most seniors had bought and sold homes in decades. So this could be overwhelming. Getting into what the market looks like, of course, being in homes for a long time, that emotional attachment means so much. So it's important to handhold the seniors and make them feel like it's okay. We'll go through this together. We're going to do this one step at a time.
Most of the seniors, I would think, bought the home that they're selling as their, quote, last home.
Correct.
And that's the one. So I can imagine the emotional attachment.
Correct. And also the fact that what would be the next step? Where are they going? Why are they selling?
So when you're usually working with these families, is it usually the senior themselves or their adult children also involved?
There are situations where it's just the seniors, and that's the sad part when they don't have anybody to rely on. But of course, there are situations where families are involved as well, which is great, I believe.
So with your background as an admissions director, you're able to kind of really help them when they're by themselves.
Yes. So whether they call in or come in to meet with me, I try to find out the background and then, the timeline, what they're looking for, and then just guide them, what to expect and how we can make it work.
Are most folks looking to just strictly downsize or transition to some sort of assisted living facility, long-term care setting?
Yeah, I was going to say, what situations do you typically see?
Both. I would say both. Like I said, it's not always a fun thing. Oh, I just want to downsize because I have a big house.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't.
Sure.
It's not always like that. It's sometimes that's why it gets emotional. It's not just because they're moving, but because where they're going could potentially affect everything. Yes, half the time it's about moving to a senior living just because their health is declining.
So most of those folks, is it the adult children that's saying, hey, mom, your health is declining a little bit, maybe we need to make a move? Or is it usually them themselves recognizing that they need some help and they're ready to now make a change?
That's why I like to educate seniors. I go to senior centers to educate them what healthcare looks like, because when they think about healthcare, they think about, oh no, nursing home. But
Right.
It doesn't always
Right.
mean like that. Unfortunately, I find that it has to be somebody else to tell them. May not be the family members. They may end up in hospitals, facilities, and those people will be the one to break the news. I think it's time to move.
More of a medical professional.
Correct.
That makes sense.
So when someone's living at home for decades, obviously there's that attachment. Where do you even begin in terms of prepping them and prepping the house?
I've moved twice and it's overwhelming.
The nightmare.
Right? Like I bought a house once and it's already overwhelming. So where do I begin? I begin by listening. That's very important. I have to know what their motivation, why are they selling, what is their concerns, what their timeline is, and their expectations. It's important to understand where they're coming from, why they're doing the sale.
What type of updates or repairs in someone's house usually make a difference? Like, do they usually have to renovate the bathrooms or things along the lines of that?
Yes, thank you for asking that, because that's always the question, not just the seniors. Keep in mind that if you make renovations, you have to look into the return of investment. So not all renovations make sense. But for seniors, there is what we call deferred maintenance, because they put off, working on those things like the roofs, maybe the HVAC and things like that. Sometimes it costs the buyer to undervalue your home. And then when you do minor updates, like maybe fresh paint, nice lighting, decluttering, then the buyer sees it as like overvalue. So that's why I try to make sure I educate them what is important update and what is not. For waste update or waste renovations, I would say, think about it. If you have a condo and you want to change the flooring, you don't really want to go to hardwood floors, because then you'll be spending more than the value of the home, right? Mm-hmm. But then if you own a bigger house, a mansion, it makes sense to do that hardwood floor. So you always have to consider those things.
How do you help seniors who are overwhelmed by the amount of possessions, clutter, and that sentimental value that they have with their house? How do you help them overcome those obstacles?
Again, it's an emotional concern. So what I do, again, I listen. I make them sure that they're in control, that we're going to do this together, that whatever they need or they feel, it's always a reassurance that their feelings is being valued, that what they're sharing, I listen.
Sure. I'm sure their concern too is they don't want these possessions just, quote, thrown away.
Right.
Correct.
They want
to pass it on to their loved ones.
Yep.
Like, I would say photos. Make sure you pass it on too. And I'd say this, what I do, if it's get overwhelming, I would say, this is the system that I use and I think it works. And I need to apply that to myself too. Because my husband would say,
I think we all
you
could
need to apply that to yourself. So there's like 4 boxes. The first box is what you want to keep. The second box is what you want to donate. The third box is what you want to discard. And the important box is the 4th box, which is the undecided box. So if you're not ready to figure out what am I going to do with this little keychain, put it in your undecided box, and then we'll figure it out later.
Okay.
When you're helping the seniors transition to either an assisted living or long-term care setting, do you find they want to take all their possessions with them?
They would say they have value and they would reason out why they should keep them.
Right.
Yes, it happens. It happens.
Right. We currently have a client that we're working with now, and that's probably one of the biggest obstacles in getting her to move is that she keeps saying, well, what about my stuff?
Yes.
You know, and she's like even trying to convince her son to put it in storage. And he's like, well, what is it going to do in storage besides just that?
Correct.
And now we're racking up a bill for a storage unit when really we could donate all this stuff to someone else.
Correct. That is one of the obstacles that you face when dealing with seniors. Yes.
So how do you help them decide what to donate, what to get rid of, what to discard of? How do you help in that process?
So what I do, I also work, I'm lucky I have a network of trusted professionals. So I bring in organizers, I bring in senior move managers. This allows me to have someone who understands the senior industry and knows like doing downsizing, making sure that they show empathy and compassionate towards the seniors. So that helps very much.
Question that we all want to know, because this always happens. How do you handle families where they might disagree with moving or getting rid of something? That can be a tricky situation for all of us when we have families getting involved. How do you navigate that?
And you see that a lot, right? So first and foremost is the question, is there a power of attorney? Who's making the decision? If there's none and there's multiple family involved, because family dynamic is very complex. So I sat them down. I tried to facilitate a respectful conversation. After that, I refer them to a trusted elder care attorney like Archer Law. And then because we want to make sure that everything is done legally and ethically and that we put their interest first.
That's important.
What signs do you look for in a client that is struggling with the idea of leaving their home?
So it's important to look into those signs because it happens. If they start being indecisive, they cannot make decisions. If they're delaying the process, if they're avoiding the questions, those are the signs that they're having, they're struggling in
some kind of issue with the move.
Correct. And again, it always comes down to listening to the seniors. They want to feel in control. It's important to make them feel in control, that their feelings are valid.
What advice do you give to the adult children that are also going through this transition and maybe, this new normal that's going to be for everybody? How do you help the adult kids?
It's very difficult to most families. I had situation where they're just getting into the picture. They don't know nothing. Here's what I would say. Leading with empathy is better than urgency.
That's a great quote. I love.
Because it's important for us to know, like, if we put ourselves in their shoe, how would we feel?
Sure.
We value this property. It's not just a building. It's not just a house. It's our home. So it's important that we give our seniors this empathy, understanding, and patience. And always make them feel in control. That's very important. Keep them in the loop. Communication is important. I sometimes over-communicate, but it's okay. At least I know I don't miss anything. I can text you, I will call you, I'll email you, and they'd be like,
yeah, I would rather over-communicate than under-communicate just to make sure I've dotted all my I's and crossed all my T's.
Yes.
Have you ever had any situations where like a loved one is living in the home with the senior that has to move to a place and then they also have to find another means of, is that tricky?
I wouldn't say it's tricky, but I love to do both. So it happened, we have a senior, it's the medical professional who let the senior know it's time to move, and there's a family member who's living with them whose name is not on the deed. I also speak to this family member. How can I help you? What can I do to help you to transition to the next moving, things like that. So it happens, and it's a good conversation. They understand why we're doing this, because at the end of the day, it's the safety of that senior to why we're doing all of it.
Absolutely. Do you also find that a lot of folks have to pay for their assisted living stay with the sale of their home?
It depends. So I had a conversation, like I've listened to you guys when you do your presentation, and it's really helpful. I educate myself all the time. Even if you're at home, it doesn't mean you don't qualify for like some programs, like for example, Medicaid, I'm not the expert about that, but it's important that they know their options. So if they didn't apply for Medicaid and they need to move to a senior living, which happened, is I coordinate with a senior living facility or communities, and they do what they call like a bridge loan. If they accept that, then I will refer the senior or the family member to a lender who works with a bridge loan. So things like that. So it's a matter of having an open communication among the parties involved, the seniors, the families, and the senior communities. And I think that makes my job special, is because I know that industry.
Right,
I'm
coming
very
from that
comfortable.
industry.
Yeah.
Correct.
So are you finding that you're doing a lot of education in the facilities, also letting them know what your role is and how you can help?
Yes, I do a lot of education, even a one-to-one education with seniors. And what I love about it, now that I'm out and about, compared to like just being in the office and waiting for somebody to come in and make phone calls, I go to their homes. I have lunch with them, not because I asked for it. They will make lunch for me. I have that beyond business. We go beyond business. They become my family.
Sure.
And a lot of education, whether they're ready to sell that moment or maybe in the future. I like to educate seniors because everything changes. Information, there's always more information. And I like to keep seniors educated as much as possible.
Do most of your clients have to move before they sell the home, or do they move after they sell the home?
It can happen either way. They may need to move sooner than getting the home sold. So what happened is that, like I mentioned earlier, I work with a lot of senior community, making sure that they'll be able to accept the patient or the senior based on the situation. But also, we can do simultaneously. We can do both, like finding a senior community and also putting the home on the market.
For seniors, go ahead, ma'am.
No, I was going to say, what conversations, because it sounds like what you had said, it's better to try and not do this in crisis, that you educate the seniors or really anybody of how to start decluttering, how to start, because you never know when your next home is going to be. What would you recommend
So,
is a good time to start approaching those conversations?
Yes. Honestly, yes. One thing that I would advise families to do is to get involved early on with your seniors, family members' personal matter. Because if in the event, and having like a legal document like power of attorney, because in the event that they will need that type of service and you know nothing about it, then you make decisions out of crisis. You have limited options. It will be so stressful and overwhelming. So it's never too early to start exploring your options.
That's a great point, because I think we always think of having to sell the home quickly because something has happened.
Yes.
But these are conversations that could start before anything happens.
Correct. Exactly.
And maybe make that move a little easier
Exactly.
when the time comes.
And what I do when I was working as a director of admissions, I always say, even if you're doing okay at home, you want to plan ahead. That's why we have like life insurance and things like that, because we don't want to wait last minute and be so overwhelmed with so much things to do and to consider.
No, that's a great point.
For the seniors that are moving to an assisted living or memory care, what should families consider in terms of timing and logistics?
Okay. So things you have to evaluate. You need to know location. Are you looking for something closer or something and where your parents lived? Second is important is the care needs. What type of care do they need? Next is the budget. What's the budget? Are they private pay? Are they Medicaid? Availability. That's important, because if you don't have options, then you just end up with whatever has availability.
Right.
And you don't think about it. You just think all those things, but also the preference. What's your preference? Do you like an assisted living with a pool? Okay, there's not a lot. So those are the but there is.
Expectations.
Exactly, but there is. And that's why I always say I don't only talk about it because I know about it. I also give them facts. I give them like the reviews of facilities and things like that. So it's important to know those things.
What are some market factors that seniors should be aware of before deciding to list their home?
Okay, and this is also applying to everyone when you're selling your home. You need to know what is the inventory, the current inventory, right? And also you need to know how many are on the market. Because if you think about it, it directly affects how long your home will sit on the market based on the number of homes currently being sold on the market within that price range. So that's very important. And also for seniors is always remember, for seniors, we're not only talking about just moving to a next home. No, it could be a senior community. So there's more discussion, more evaluation to be considered.
Out of curiosity, because of the current market that selling homes is in, are you finding that your homes are selling a lot quicker than they ever have before?
I would say it's not like when the COVID started. It's balancing out, but because of the inventory, the demand is still high. Because no one wants to put their home on sale because of one of the concerns they have is the interest rates.
Right.
Absolutely.
I bet you get that question a lot.
Yes. But if you think about it, your home appreciated almost, 30%?
Right.
Like I bought my home in 2020 and it's almost double the price.
Lucky you.
Yes.
Almost, not quite. Don't start looking, this one. No, but those are the things. So if you don't, for not just for seniors, you're paying rent. Are you willing to just keep paying rent versus owning a home and then start an equity? Those are the things you have to consider. What is important this moment? Is it making sense to stay in a rental? And that's okay. Maybe you're looking to buy in the future. Plan ahead, and that's okay.
Are there any specific challenges or advantages that seniors have when selling compared to like regular sellers, or is it all dealing with the same sort of competition?
I would say some of the things that are challenging for seniors, if you live in your home for that long, you would have some deferred maintenance. You put off things because it still works, you know?
Sure. And as they age or have mobility issues, they may not be able to take care of their home like they used to.
Exactly. And that being said, when doing like planning, preparing the home, you have to put that in consideration. Like, okay, when can we show the home? How it's important for them to be like, okay, I have to move out of the house every time they come in for showings and things like that.
Sure.
So mobility, health, those are important too. The emotional attachment is very important. Those are the challenges. But the main advantage there is like your home had most likely had appreciated, right? You have a good amount of equity.
Sure.
So those things, and maybe you have like tax benefits, you know? So those are the things to keep in mind.
Do you ever have clients that want to move strictly based off the fact that they can't maintain the house anymore? Like they can't upkeep with the maintenance on it? Or is it strictly usually for health reasons?
No, it's not always the same. It's always, of course, you will encounter those for health reasons. But like I said, you know, if their home is too big for them and there's just them in the house, they may want to downsize because they cannot manage it. Or maybe they want to move out of state or move with the family members. So there are different reasons why they would put their home on the market.
Are you seeing a trend to move more towards from the private home to a 55 plus neighborhood?
I see that. Yes.
I would think given the amount of 55 plus neighborhoods that have come up over the years, that seems to be the next step in home ownership for someone who's aging.
Yes. And that's very important. And I know like Middlesex County, Somerset County, you know, there are those 55 plus community. So the seniors who are not ready for like senior community, like independent living, senior living, assisted living, that's where they geared towards because they still feel like I could do things. I'm still independent,
Sure.
But I cannot manage my home. So somebody else needs to help me with the HOA helps, you know?
Right,
like,
where they don't want to do the lawn. They don't want to shovel the snow.
Exactly.
Especially recently.
And the homes are one floor, usually one floor.
Exactly.
And have accommodations.
Exactly.
Maybe on a golf course.
Yes.
They do.
Hey.
In Florida, right?
Yeah, even here. I mean,
Even
here
in
where
New
we are.
Jersey,
Even
Ocean,
here-
Monmouth County.
Yeah.
even here in Monroe.
Nice.
So what are some of the documents or legal steps that you think are important for seniors to take before selling their home?
All right. So first thing first, who has the authority to sell the home? How do we find out? We need to see the deed. And then if it's both the spouse on the deed and the other spouse passed, we may need to see the death certificate.
Oh, wow.
We need to see the proof of survivorship. If it's on trust, which, you know, you guys are aware. And of course, if there's a power of attorney, we have to make sure that it's legit. So those are important things.
Have you ever had a situation where one person needed to move, but the other person didn't? Like a spouse needed to move, but the other spouse is in good health?
Yes. And that happens. You know, when I was working in a nursing home, the husband would be visit all the time. They live at home. And, you know, the other spouse stays in the nursing home. So it happens. And you have to provide, again, some comfort and educate them that it's okay.
So how do you coordinate the move itself, especially when a client may need help packing, transporting, setting up in the new community? Do you help coordinate all those things also?
Okay, so working with a network of professionals helped me with that. So basically, I like to be involved throughout the process, coordinating from packing, transporting, and even setting up homes. I like to know what's happening. I like to keep open communication with all parties.
What should families know about choosing the right senior living community for themselves?
Okay, so again, it's important to start early, not wait last minute. This way you have more options. As I mentioned earlier, you may consider the location, of course, the care needs, the budget is important, and other preferences, the timeline and availability. If you plan ahead, you have a lot of time to consider and look for what is more safe and appropriate for your loved ones. So it's important to plan ahead. I would say be proactive.
What are some of the biggest mistakes you see families make during the transition?
Is not being proactive.
Do families come in and kind of expect you to kind of do all the work for them to some extent?
I would say because they don't understand my role.
I was going to say it's such a unique real estate role that I think a lot of folks wouldn't understand.
Right. So that's why I listen to like their concerns, their expectations, and then I work my way to like figure out, to customize a plan for them, and I tell them what I will do. My main role is between the two, moving to a senior living and putting the home on the market. My main role is to keep this as smooth, or the process as smooth as possible, as stress-free as possible. So I'm the middle person, and sometimes I'll be the advisor, and I feel confident only because I've been in healthcare for that long that I understand that the healthcare industry.
Sure.
Yeah, we can relate. Sometimes you got to pay peacemaker and therapist and all those things with your
You have
family.
a lot of different players and personalities.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes, I agree.
What is the average time are you seeing for a home to be sold?
I'd say-
Depending, I know it's kind of loaded depending on location, but if someone is starting the process and there's no crisis, let's go with the best case scenario.
So the best case scenario. So from the time that we start preparing to like the closing, I would say we're talking about a 45 days is the ideal. Sometimes it gets extended. You know, if we could do it 30 days, great. But with all the preparation and things to put into, I want to make sure we're doing it right. We're pricing it correctly. We're navigating the market. So those are the things that,
And how do you work with the families who think they're the real estate experts?
Yeah.
There are so many shows out there now. So many, my husband and I sit back and watch TV and we're like, oh, 30-day close, all cash offer. Like people who think that they're experts, but aren't really.
That's okay. I like to hear them out. And then I bring them facts. Numbers
Perfect.
doesn't lie. It's always important. Like, okay, that's what you think because of X, Y, and Z. However, here, look at the comparative analysis.
Yes.
This is what it looks like, your neighborhood,
So sometimes you have folks that come in and think the house should be sold at more than what you maybe think it should be listed at.
I would probably think everybody thinks that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because everybody wants as much of a return as they can get, right?
It's their biggest asset.
Right.
And that's why we like to educate, because I don't want to give them false hopes. Like, okay, I want your listing, so I will go with what you want. No. Because you know what? At the end, we both going to fail.
Right.
And I don't want us to fail.
Right.
Yes.
We've done presentations together at senior centers and stuff. What kind of things are you going in and educating the seniors about?
First, what I did when I started educating the senior, I want them to have a good understanding of what a senior community is. Okay.
Right.
And then when I come in as a real estate agent, it's another real estate agent. Then that's where I bring in my expertise as a seniors real estate specialist. What is different from what I do? So it's important to start from the very beginning. What is the market looking like for seniors, and why would I sell? Where would I go? Why would I not feel afraid to go to the seniors community? So those are the things. It's important to have an open communication and educate the seniors of something what they don't know. For example, when I did the senior options for senior community presentation, I'm very happy that they feel like, oh, I did not know that. And then they ask more questions. And the more they ask questions, the more that they have clarity in their mind of what senior community looks like.
That's
and at
great.
the same time, what the market is looking like today. Because the news could be scary.
Sure.
Most definitely. Absolutely.
I said, I'm sure a lot of what you do is managing expectations of, what you're seeing. This is the reality of what's happening in real estate, in your market, in selling a home.
Exactly. Let's go back home. What does the market look like in your community? Not what,
what you're seeing on TV.
Exactly.
What's one piece of advice you wish every family knew before starting the process of selling a home for a senior?
I wouldn't wait last minute. Be proactive. Learn about it, because let's face it, all of us will get to a point that we're going to age, we would need help. It's important to explore those options. When I was a director of admissions, I always stressed to families and seniors that would come to my office or call me, don't wait last minute. Whether you come to my building or you go to another building, it's important that you educate yourself. This way you have options. And you don't just go to the facilities and say, oh, it's beautiful. Ask questions. I sometimes, or most of the time, I would say, I would go with them. I would go to facilities with them. I ask questions on their behalf.
We echo those sentiments also because we're always dealing with folks in crisis mode and kind of don't know where to turn. And there are so many resources that are available for people. But these are uncomfortable conversations that nobody ever wants to have.
Right.
But Carl always says something during his talks, and all of these things are in place to prevent the unforeseen circumstances. So that in the event something does happen, the things are already in place for us to be able to navigate this with as little chaos as possible.
And it's better to have, I think, uncomfortable conversations when you're not in crisis.
Right.
Exactly.
To bring it up as a what if scenario,
Exactly.
just so you can reference that back when you do have a crisis.
Absolutely,
right.
absolutely.
And the more I speak with you guys with Archer Law, the more it gives me understanding. Yes, it's very important to have those legal documents in place, not when you're in crisis.
Right.
How can someone find a senior real estate specialist? Because that is a very unique thing. You don't just call up a realtor company. And what would someone ask? Like if someone is listening, working with their family on this journey, how would they find you? So
there's a website where you can look up, I don't have this off of my head, but there's a website when you could look up a senior real estate specialist in your area. However, it's more important to go with the word of mouth. This way it's a firsthand experience. So I would recommend to ask friends, professionals, or anyone who had a good experience with the seniors real estate specialist.
Because that's so unique. I think a lot of us know realtors, but not a lot of people know a senior real estate specialist.
Right. Especially for someone that's helping someone transition to a senior living community. A regular real estate agent might not even know where to begin because they haven't worked in it for 20 plus years like you have.
Correct.
So,
and a senior move manager is not the same as just a movement organizer or declutterer. It's different. So you have to have a good network of elder care attorney, senior advisor, financial advisor, and senior move managers.
So obviously there's a need for a role like yours because your company saw it fit to sort of put it into place because there are that generation that's getting older as we're getting more and more seniors. There's more folks that are going to have to be able to use your services.
The funny story is that when I transitioned to real estate, I didn't know where to start. And then my team lead said, you know seniors more than anybody else in this industry. Why don't you take the seniors real estate specialist? And I did. And now I feel comfortable working as a real estate agent because I'm able to do what I know best.
Sure.
So is it also like a special certification you had to go for this?
It is. So it's basically just like going through what I already know and what are new about what I know. It helps me understand, okay, how do we navigate real estate plus the seniors industry?
All the other issues going on for a senior.
So it helps me very much.
But that's good to know that it's a special certification.
Yes.
Right.
That someone can't just say there, hey, I help seniors. That there's really senior real estate specialist is a certification that you get.
Yes. And I'm very happy that they have that for real estate agents.
That's wonderful.
Absolutely. Well, Kathleen, thank you so much for coming on today. We can feel passion that you have in talking about what you do. So thank you for the good work that you do.
Oh.
The last question that we always ask everybody is, this is a crazy industry that we're all in, right? You've been in it for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
So what's your why for doing what you do?
It's so funny. When I started, I didn't know. Like when I was in my 20s, because I'm there yet.
We're that one. It's seasoned.
Yes. I love that word seasoned. I didn't know what I want when you were younger. But then when I started working with seniors, I fell in love with it. The reason why I did it for that long and the reason why I continued doing it. I love working with seniors. I'm just so passionate. I don't look at it as a job. I look at it as a part of me. That's who I am. I like to educate. I don't want anyone to feel like they don't know anything. If there's something that they ask me and I don't know the answer, I will come back to them. I will find an answer one way or another.
Right.
So it's just my passion.
It's just something about helping people transition in this part of their life, helping them get to a better space. It's something about, I think, for all of us, that's just so fulfilling. It's priceless.
It is. And I think people, when they move at this stage in their lives, have a negative connotation, and it can really be a positive experience.
Exactly. And, as cliche as it is, I feel like it's my calling.
It's great.
No,
That's great.
Wonderful. And you can tell.
Yeah, that's good because
How
a
you
lot of
speak
people
about it.
a lot of people go through life never figuring out exactly what that is. So for you to find it is great. And it is, there are hard conversations to have. I've had the same talks with my parents because they live in a huge house that I always say, I don't know if you guys eventually are going to need a house that has 6 bedrooms in it. There's just 2 of you guys in here. So it's great that you said, you're better off getting ahead of these things and knowing what your options are. So
Correct. Agree 100%.
awesome. Kathleen, thank you so much
Thank
again
you
for
so
your time
much.
today. We really appreciate it. And where can our folks find you at?
So my website is www.kjdoc.kw.com. Also, I have my Instagram, Kathleen Ann Realtor, Kathleen_Ann_Realtor. My Facebook is Kathleen Ann JDoc. And I'm also on TikTok and LinkedIn. So if you type my name,
To find you.
they will find me one way or another, and they can reach me at 908-547-0369. And that's my cell, so they can call, text me anytime.
Thank you very
Thank you
much,
so
Kathleen.
much.
Thank you for this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
If you found this episode helpful, please be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone that it could benefit.
Just remember, you don't have to navigate aging or caregiving alone.
If today's conversation raised questions about elder law, long-term care, or planning ahead, please visit jerseyelderlaw.com or call 609-842-9200 to find resources and support.
This is for mature audiences only, presented by Archer Law Office. Until next time, keep pushing forward and keep the conversation going.